Hello, my friends. Assalamu alaikum. Let's study another example from the amazing Quran by Dr. Gary Miller, which underlines the fact that Quran is divine in its origin. So let's begin. He writes, if one assumes that the Quran is the product of a man's mind, then one would expect it to reflect some of what was going on in the mind of the man who composed it. In fact, certain encyclopedias and various books claim that the Quran was the product of hallucinations that Muhammad underwent. If these claims are true, if it indeed originated from some psychological problems in Muhammad's mind, then evidence of this would be apparent in the Quran. Is there such evidence? In order to determine whether or not there is, one must first identify what things would have been going on in his mind at that time, and then search for these thoughts and reflections in the Quran. It is common knowledge that Muhammad, peace be upon him, had a very difficult life. All of his daughters died before him except one, and he had a wife of several years who was very dear and important to him, who not only preceded him in death but died at a very critical period of his life. As a matter of fact, she must have been quite a woman, because when the first revelation came to him, he ran home to her afraid. Certainly, even today, one would have a hard time trying to find an Arab who would tell you, "I was so afraid that I ran home to my wife." They just aren't that way. Yet Muhammad, peace be upon him, felt comfortable enough with his wife to be able to do that. That's how influential and strong woman she was. Although these examples are only a few of the subjects that would have been on Muhammad's mind, they are sufficient in intensity to prove my point. The Quran does not mention any of these things, not the death of his children, not the death of his beloved companion and wife, not his fear of initial revelations, which he so beautifully shared with his wife. Nothing. Yet, these topics must have hurt him, bothered him, and caused him pain and grief during periods of his life. Indeed, if the Quran was a product of his psychological reflections, then these subjects, as well as others, would be prevalent or at least mentioned throughout. Thank you for listening, my friends. Assalamu alaikum.